And it is sunny here today. It has been, we've had some high temperature days, so 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's been really lovely and surprising for November. So I just encourage us all. Let's see. Oh, and if I didn't say, my name is Antoinette, and I'm one of the hosts, or I'm the host for the Women Together Connects. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing if you don't already know, although I see so many familiar faces. So welcome back, everybody, and welcome to those of you who may be just joining for the first time. I feel like a different tone, maybe the sun in November, but there's just a kind of, let's see, there's New York in the house, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Switzerland, the Blue Ridge Mountains, Kentucky, Boulder, Scotland, San Francisco Bay Area, Minneapolis, waiting for the snow to begin. We're all coming from very different places today. North Dakota, Irvington, New York, Ossining, right up down the street from each other, Ohio, Texas, Maryland, Central Mass, Burien, Washington, Northern California. Oh, wow. Jennifer, you know Cortland Manor well, then. Sweet. New Berlin, Wisconsin, Chandler, Arizona, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, warm Chicago, and Toronto sun. It's wonderful to have us all together from across the country and spanning different parts of the planet. It is just a joy. I tend to say this, but I really do love going on the gallery view and just seeing all of our faces and just coming together and connecting in this way. And I'll say, you know, we started these programs, they stem from Eileen Fisher, and we started the programs in order to really just bring women together, because Eileen often says that a powerful energy emerges when women begin to connect with one another. And I found that throughout the experiences of my own life that the connections with women are what have both allowed me to sort of come through transition moments or experience my best growth, and a lot of the learnings that I've experienced in my life and my career as well. So I try to hold the space for that energy. And then I do that in a lot of different places and spaces. So I personally work with our foundation, and these programs come out of that place. But Eileen also has been doing these kinds of personal practices, personal growth, leadership practices, and development for her lifetime. And we started a number of years ago a young women's leadership program, and to try and share those leadership practices out. And really that was Eileen's desire to allow us to go further than the clothing. So really go deeper than the clothes and allow us all to feel free on the planet. And that is what we're doing today. And we are going to be deepening our own sense of practice and our own sense of what belonging means. So we'll be doing that and just going deeper into that in just a little bit. And before we do that, I just offer a moment of stillness, because throughout our time together today, we'll do a number of tiny practices, which are the invitation that we use to go deeper. And each of these tiny practices are an offering that you can do throughout your day. So whether you have gone on a retreat or you've gone to some kind of experience, you may or may not have experienced kind of meditation or yoga practice, or sometimes extended days of these kinds of practices. And what we find is that often when we go out somewhere, we can experience that. And we don't always have that when we wake up in the morning, or when we experience an altercation or a connection with someone that didn't go the way we wanted it to. So just feeling into what that actually means for each of us to be able to step into our own personal practice, our own personal power in every moment of our lives. So that is the invitation. And we will do a little moment of stillness together just to land in the space. And if you have your own practice, you can do that as well. But I have a little singing bowl. So the singing bowl is used in a lot of different cultures, but we also use it in Eileen Fisher in our meeting spaces. And often what we attempt to do is just allow ourselves a place to land. And I was in a conversation yesterday about women and money, and it was so interesting because one of the questions was what really grounds you. And almost every woman who spoke, who's, kind of doing amazing things, said her meditation practice or being in great nature. There were these kind of two threads that came up. And so we each have our own practice, and in some way, that may be walking in nature, it may be being with a friend, it may be going in the ocean, it may, who knows. But I just invite you to tune into that for just this moment. If it's going in the ocean, just being with the waves just for a moment, just tuning into whatever that practice is for you. And the way that we'll do that is we can just land both feet flat on the ground. And I will say there has been so much happening since we last saw each other. And the invitation is just for this moment to whether we feel really good about it or not so sure we feel good about it, either way, we're just going to let it all be out there. And we're going to come back into the space in here, back into our own bodies, into our own connection with ourselves, and come home to this space inside and just be here for a little bit. Just noticing the quality of the breath, the air flowing in and out of the nostrils. And I'll ring the sound of the bell to bring us into this moment of stillness, and bring the sound of the bell to bring us back. I love what Anne was just doing, and I want to invite us to just do that together. So you can put both of your hands together and just rub them and feel the energy building in between your hands. And as you do that, just waking up the body, recognizing that as you come back into this place and this space, that this is the energy and the heat of what happens when we come together. So just feeling into that. And if you'd like to, you can just put these hands on your face, over your eyes. I see some of us already doing it, but just feeling the energy. Sometimes it's just a little self-connection because we already have such an isolation or distance from others. So being able to have this connection with ourselves and just feeling the hands on the body. So thank you for being together and for coming back together in this way. And thanks, Anne, for the extra little tiny practice. So if you would like to share, it would be lovely to hear a little bit about what brings you to Women Together today. Our focus is on belonging. And what we'll do is I'll give a little conversation and practice around belonging, and then we'll move into conversation with each other, which is, I think, truly the best part of being able to connect with the women in this room, and just the way that we, kind of what happens when we're sort of on our own, which is also a wonderful thing, is that we get into our own minds, we get into our own experience and our own silos. And what happens when we come together to this space is that we just broaden that perspective a little bit, and we just open up and connect with a few other women and hear what's going on in their part of the world, what's happening. And really listening deeply to each other is the beginning of the kind of healing that we need in this country and in this world. So we open up this Women Together space to do that together. So with that, we're going to think a little bit about what brings us to Women Together and what brought us to this conversation about belonging. And I see Elaine already shared, I'm finally sleeping better after the election, and this group helped me through the election and the virus. Mary in Arizona wishing our voting count would be completed. And I have to say, you're probably not alone. Even in New York, we also have, quite a bit of counting to continue on, and not sure about local elections and all of the above. So Anna, I feel so loved and grounded within this community. Francis really wants to hear from everybody. So please go ahead and share. And if you haven't figured out yet how to do that, you can just click at the bottom of your screen. There should be a chat button, and you can type directly into the chat. So I'll give everybody a moment or two to do that. And if you're on YouTube, you can type it into the comment section as well. Joe Carroll here for my weekly relaxation. Shari, I really like being part of this community. So nice to be connected to women who are here just to connect and not for some material purpose or reason. Absolutely. It's so great to be with this energy. From Betsy. Kim says, holding my breath for 4 years is way too long for a practice of being on purpose. Happy to be with the Wakanda tribe and celebrate our efforts for the win. Thank you, Kim. And thank you for sharing. Beth Ann here today because this is a welcoming and safe space. Yes. Nicole, how much we are together here in the country. It was a collective response. Susan, I feel safe and welcome. Bianca, having a tough time this week, depleted and sad. Thank you for the love here. We're with you, Bianca. Charlene, I miss these lovely faces. Mary Kay, I love seeing everyone each week or every week. Yep. I love that, Ellen, you shared like being in the breakout rooms. Jerry, I feel a deep connection that is hard to find in my normal day today. Yeah. When I open the Zoom for this conversation, I feel that same thing, just this kind of breath of like, oh yeah, I can have this conversation with this group of friends. So Caroline, a dear friend, extended the invite to our group of sisters. I felt called to participate today and discover this wider circle. Happy to be here. We are happy to have you, Caroline. Anna, sending you love, Bianca, just so you know it's coming from all of us, or at least a number of us. Angela, being unemployed, sheltering in place, having tension with my family, one has disowned me. My sense of belonging has been really challenged right now and has made me look at other ways to feel connected and belonging. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we will talk more about belonging. Carol says, belonging is a central issue in my life, decades long, wrestling with it. Thankful to have this group to explore the topic. And Cindy, welcome for your second time to the authentic community, as you put it, and here to connect with this amazing tribe and grow together for the greater good. Oh, wonderful. Thank you all. I do wish I could read all of them, and I do enjoy it. So thank you for sharing them. And it's just fun to see where we're all coming from because, in these moments where I think, this country is a prime example right now that there are, we're holding multiple feelings all at the same time, and I think it's a product in some ways of being with uncertainty. So this has been a place for the last number of weeks and months that we've been able to come together and be with that uncertainty and explore topics that we're interested in and we care about, and to just find a little bit of a sense of peace and a place to not kind of bicker about it, but to go into the essence of what it means to be human and really deeply listen to each other from that place. So thank you all for being here. And speaking of community and belonging and how we all come together, our topic today is belonging. And when I was thinking about it, I realized I too have been wrestling with belonging for most of my life. So I'm with you, Carol, personally. And I wanted to share a couple of things. One is that when I really deeply felt into this, I thought, you know what? I think this is something that women have been actually struggling with for a long time, because at one point we were belongings. So we weren't necessarily our own people. And when we think about how women, walk down the aisle and are transferred from the father to the husband, there's a legacy that we carry of looking for belonging, sometimes not in the right places. And I will say that on a personal level, that may not be true for everybody, but on a personal level, I have definitely felt that in my own life. And my mother is an incredibly strong, talented, brilliant woman who was a single mother by choice, and brought me into the world because she wanted to have a child. And her mother, incredibly strong as well. And at the same time, there's always been a part of me that has looked to others to validate my own existence. And I think there are a lot of ways that we do that as women, as human beings. Some of it is, mirror neurons. So literally our brains are programmed to kind of see something and then do it. And I do like an exercise class, and when I see the instructor doing something, I'm like, oh, I have to do the same thing. And I find myself doing the same thing, so some of it is that. And some of it is also searching for this connection of making sure that, oh, this is who I am. And I've noticed for myself, and we'll go through a little practice around this, in different phases of my life, I've looked for belonging in different ways. And I've looked for it in different communities and with different people. And I find that currently I'm going through a phase of actually showing up, not where I feel the most sense of belonging, but showing up as fully myself wherever I am. And I'm sure many of you have already done that for a long time. Some of you may be just stepping into it with me. And it's interesting because when I was younger, I thought I would rebel against the places where I felt I needed to belong. And because I didn't think I would fit in and things like that. And I don't think that that's the same as just kind of authentically being myself. So I just share that a little bit with just my own experience, because I think that's a place to start from, and to think about where we're receiving our sense of belonging. Is it something that we're hoping to earn in the world through our careers or through our roles or titles in our families? Or is it something that we find within ourselves? And I really love, Brene Brown, of course, has done a great deal of work on this. And so I'll share a couple of quotes from her. We love her as one of our friends and teachers. But Brene says, true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are, but it requires you to be who you are. So that's one little piece. And the other piece that is also from her is our sense of belonging cannot be greater than our level of self-acceptance. And I think Karen just put that in the chat so you can find the quote. But I think those two things of true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are, but it requires you to be with who you are, or to be who you are. And our sense of belonging cannot be greater than our level of self-acceptance. And when I was just saying, when I was younger, I was rebelling against something because I was afraid I wouldn't fit in and things like that. I also, would get frustrated with places where I didn't feel like I belonged. And part of that, has to do with I grew up as a brown girl in a very white Jewish day school. And, it was quite, I didn't realize it at the time, but, growing up with a single mom who we didn't have a kosher kitchen and all the things that you're supposed to have, I struggled with that from being a very young child. And my interaction was, okay, I'm going to rebel against it. And I'm going to, try and be the opposite of what I'm seeing. But that still wasn't part of connecting with who I really am. It was just opposition to what I thought I should be. So some of us go into what we thought we should be, really deeply. We like go really, really deeply into that, and we sort of lose who we are. Some of us go the other way. We rebel and we kind of forget who we are because we're just acting in opposition. So I think really then coming to a place of who is it? Who am I actually? Who am I beyond, all of these sort of extra things that I've tried to create for myself? And how do I have the courage to actually live that and be that person and show up not with all the other voices that I may have gathered, but really by having the courage to be authentic and be truly who we are. So, and that requires a lot of deep work. So the self-acceptance work, and really tuning into, okay, this is me, this is the me body, this is the brain that I was given, this is the voice, and all the things. We have to love ourselves in some weird way. And that's definitely something I have struggled with as well. So I open that up as an opportunity for us all to step in together, and to look at what is required of us to be present with ourselves and each other without sacrificing who we are. And I realized that, when we often look for accountability things, like I finish a meeting and I'm like, oh, I have to do this at the end of the meeting, or I'm going to hold myself accountable to this. And the other day I realized my accountability thing, the thing that I need to do, is actually show up and be myself in all of those communities where whether I have felt a sense of belonging or I haven't, I have to show up and feel that sense of belonging in me. And that's what I'm going to bring and then role model for those circles that radiate out. So time for practice. Yes. Okay. So we'll step into a practice of just visualization first, and then we'll move into journaling. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and maybe a journal. I love this question, Risa, also. Is it rebellion or curiosity? Great question. I will invite us to go into that too in this practice. So thank you for bringing that question in. So if you can find a comfortable spot, now that hopefully you found a paper, pen for later, and you can close your eyes for this one. Hopefully you feel comfortable doing that. You're in your own space. You have your own, you don't need to sit up straight or do anything perfectly. Just kind of be and feel really comfortable. And just tune into the breath. And I invite you to take yourself to a comfy spot or a place in your mind. Perhaps if you were one of the people who really love the ocean, you take yourself to a spot near the ocean. Just visualize this spot. Maybe it's a happy place from your childhood, a happy place that you can remember going to and feeling really comfortable, really good. And as you walk up to this beautiful place, you notice that there is a younger version of you sitting just a few paces away. And she's maybe 8, 9 years old, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And as you see her there, just take a look at her. Just notice what she's doing. Notice what she's really good at. What does she really love to do? Perhaps she's doing that now. Perhaps you connect with her and have a conversation. And maybe you ask her what she's looking forward to. Just connecting in and asking her what she loves, what food she enjoys. And asking her, where does she feel most herself? Where does she feel most alive? Just noticing what she shares with you. And maybe ask her where she is curious or where she may be trying to fit into places that may have sacrificed a part of herself. And whatever the reason, that's okay. But just noticing, was there a place that she may have sacrificed a part of herself? Maybe she sacrificed it to fit in. And then maybe asking her what advice she has for you now. Maybe letting her put her hands on your face or just connecting with you in a way that you know and you feel good with, maybe on your shoulders. Just letting her tell you what she needs to say. And then thank her for whatever she's shared and maybe let her walk away. And just for a moment, staying in that place of peace and calm. And letting fall away anything that isn't needed. Just tuning into what is here for you now. And as you slowly tune into the senses, coming back to this place and this seat, just before you come back, noticing if you can be aware of awareness itself. So, if just for a moment you can begin to perhaps hear the sounds or feel the feelings and notice who is doing the hearing, who is doing the feeling. And as you come back, embracing the body that is allowing you to feel, the ears that allow you to hear, tuning your attention back to your paper and pen. Perhaps there was advice that you received or an insight that occurred, and you can just take a moment and jot that down. And just remember, the key to the journaling is just to keep the pen on the paper. Just seeing what comes up. And I'll ask a couple more questions. Perhaps there was a clear time when you know that you sacrificed who you were to try and fit in or feel a sense of belonging. You can just jot that down for yourself. And maybe it was at that age that you found, or maybe it was a little later in life, either way. And sitting with whatever experience you may have just jotted down, or you may be jotting down. What parts of yourself do you need to forgive and accept? So just taking another minute on that one. What parts of yourself do you need to forgive and accept? The next question. When was the time you felt most yourself? So when is the time where you feel most alive or most yourself? And the last one, what might you want or need to do going forward to practice this kind of self-acceptance or forgiveness? Perhaps there's more to it than that, but maybe there's a practice that you want to carry forward from this moment. The last question was, what practice might you want to take into your life going forward to practice self-acceptance? So what might you want or need to practice in order to cultivate the feeling of self-acceptance? And it is on that note that we will turn to each other and share. So for those of you on YouTube, we will see you in the Women Together space, the womentogether.com/conversation space, where we can continue to chat with each other. And for those of you in Zoom, we will turn to each other and practice the deep listening, and share with one another our name, where we're coming from, and perhaps a practice that rose, or, something that resonated for you. And the invitation, I love to say this one now, but we don't know what each other had for breakfast. So there's no way we can know the rest of the life journey. And so the invitation is really to hold compassion, that we just did a little practice that may have been pretty deep for some people, may have been kind of, I didn't really want to go there right now. Either way, whatever it is, we're coming into these breakouts with just holding a space of curiosity, um, and really just not judging each other. I love what Risa and Carol just shared in the chat. But Carol said, I missed the hugs of my great aunt who held me in her ample bosom and surrounded me in unconditional and non-judgmental love. And so I invite that feeling of unconditional and non-judgmental love into our breakout rooms. So enjoy your time together. We'll be back here in about 18 minutes.